Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I'm going to be watching the movie Lightyear. And today I'm going to do my video a little different because it's scheduling, like I'm not going to be able to stop by Jollibee first. So what I'm going to do is like watch the movie first and then later stop by Jollibee to have some dinner. And then I'm going to give you guys a spoiler review. And the reason why I'm gonna do my video a little different today is because the person I'm with, the person I watched the movie with, is out of town right now. He's in Missoula, Montana. So right now we're gonna do the video, the spoiler review via Zoom call or like Zoom interview or however you want to call it. But still, we're gonna give you guys a spoiler review. So get ready for that, and hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Don't forget to give it a like, a share, and subscribe, and please be kind in the comment section. Hi guys, so I just finished watching the movie Lightyear, and it's awesome. Well, before I give you guys a spoiler review, I'm gonna stop by Jollibee because I'm hungry. I wasn't able to like go to Jollibee, so let's eat first, and then I'm gonna give you guys a spoiler review in a few. Jollibee spaghetti. I miss this thing. So I'm just eating spaghetti right now because I already ate something in the movie theater. So this will do. So hi guys, so welcome back, and now we are doing the spoiler review for Light Years. And as you can see, we're doing it a little different right now because Jonathan is out of town right now. So, he's in Missoula, Montana right now, and I'm in New York City. And like we watch it separate times, and like we just decided to like do the video this way. Like it's our first time doing like a Zoom recorded video interview, spoiler review or something, and there's always first time for everything, right?
Okay, so what are your general thoughts on this movie?
Well, should I go like spoiler direct?
Well, I like it, but like not like it. If you get what I'm saying, like it's enjoyable.
I
I don't
don't know
know.
what that means, but
I'm not gonna say like I'm gonna go crazy over it. Like, oh my gosh, it's Lightyear. Like, it's not like that. It's just okay. Like, I feel like it's just another summer movie for me. I don't know.
hmm I liked it. It was I feel like it was better than what I've been hearing about it, at least. With the it seems like opinion is pretty well split, and I didn't go in with I don't know, that many expectations on the movie, and
Yeah, same.
I feel like there's a lot of people kind of carrying some either expectations based on it being a Pixar movie or on it being this sort of the character from the Toy Story movies, which it really isn't. It's the same design, but a kind of a different character. And then, yeah, there's also, I feel like, people who are very attached to their idea of what the character should be or was. Like, there was a Buzz Lightyear cartoon, which I've never seen. But that is something that I think some people kind of brought in to this movie, that's not what this movie is.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Because I I heard like some complaints about how it's not Star Wars, basically. It's kind of what it sounds like. And like it doesn't go to multiple planets. You don't get multiple alien species. You don't get all of that. And I think that is something
battles.
from the old cartoon used to have. Kind of more of a different species and different things, where this movie is definitely more based on one planet, and it's just around less characters as well.
Yeah, probably that's the reason why I didn't. Well, I'm not gonna say I like it, but not loved it, if that's the right word for it.
Well, I would say I enjoyed everything that happened in the movie, and I wouldn't say it's the top Pixar film, or I think one of the things people kind of always expect Pixar to have sort of these big emotional moments, which this movie had some kind of emotional moments, but it didn't really have anything huge like some other movies have had. But I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing in the world. Not every Pixar movie has to have those moments. And
it's a Pixar movie.
So it's much more of a straightforward sort of space
like
adventure.
A lot of Pixar movies are like very heartwarming, and like you're gonna be sad, you're gonna feel emotions watching Pixar movie. I remember watching Up and Wall-E, like, oh my gosh, like I can feel for this character. You know what I'm saying? That's what Pixar is known for.
Yeah, and I think there are some moments that they're a little emotional. I'll say that I feel like the one moment that probably would have worked better is sort of like Buzz seeing the image of his old partner, right? I think one of the small flaws with this movie is that we see that moment early on in the movie, and then it calls back to it later on. I'm not quite sure what would have been the best way to do it, but I feel like if we hadn't really seen that moment earlier on, but saw it later on, it would have been more impactful. But the fact that we see it later on isn't quite as impactful, because we already saw him see her, near her final moments. So it's not quite as impactful, but I'm not quite sure exactly how they could have changed it to make it more so. I just know that it doesn't quite get there. It's almost approaching something similar to Up, where he sees her book he's been carrying her, that he's had this whole time, well, in the house, and then he turns the page and he sees all this other stuff. That's the kind of thing that was lacking from that moment in this movie, is that he sees her, but she doesn't say anything new in that moment, like later in the movie, that impacts the characters. We're just reminded of what she already said. So I think that's one of the things that's a little bit lacking. I think it's still, an enjoyable film, but that's one of the things that like you could kind of see where like they were kind of going for that big moment, and it just doesn't quite get there.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. So what else do you think about it?
What did you think of the character of Buzz Lightyear? Like, did you understand the concept of the film? Because I feel like they didn't clearly communicate that in the marketing.
Yeah, in a way. Well, should I go like super spoiler territory
Yeah, you can
right
go
now?
full spoilers.
Okay. No, because here's the thing. Like, it didn't explain, like, because in the movie, like, it turns out Zurg is Lightyear.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, where did that come from? Like, I don't see, I don't know. Like, it didn't work for me. And
Yeah,
like,
but like even not getting to Zurg yet, but like the character of Buzz Lightyear in this world, you understood the concept that this is the movie that Andy saw, right?
yeah.
Because I feel like they did confuse the marketing where like one of the creators said that, and that seemed clear. And then I feel like the actor Chris Evans, he said a quote like something about like this is a real person, and then that confused a lot of people who started to think that this was no longer just a character in the Pixar universe that they made a movie based off of. No, this was somehow a real person, an astronaut in that time, and then that got all confused. Where I think the actor was just saying person because he's not a toy, which
Yeah.
and I'm a little confused as to why they didn't immediately try to clear that up, because the beginning of this movie starts off with titles that say that this is the movie that Andy saw,
Yeah. And I get that.
which honestly I'm a little surprised they didn't end with like a scene showing the toys watching the movie, because I feel like that would have been kind of cool to see, but it ultimately was okay without it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, they should have done something like that just to feel like the nostalgia out of it, I guess. That's why.
And so
But, like,
going back to Zurg, so
it's
the way I
Zurg.
understood it is it's Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
Basically, there's two versions of Buzz in this movie. There's version A, who is Zurg, who went, and the one thing that's not just explained in the movie at all is how he discovered this ship and this suit and all this technology. The movie does not explain where that stuff comes at all.
Yeah.
So he just went somewhere, and then he found this ship, and apparently nobody was there or not. I feel like they could have hinted at something. I feel like that's something you don't have to explain entirely, but at least give us a little bit more something than just like he found this. Maybe say it was abandoned or something, or I don't know, something along those lines. Or if you could have at least said that he found this ancient ship and then he built all the robots or whatever. I don't know. I felt like it just needed more information than that.
Yeah. And honestly, I thought like Zurg is gonna be, the intern from the beginning. Remember the intern?
Oh, the new guy, right?
I was expecting it to be him or something.
I briefly thought about that, but then like there was just part of the movie where I thought like the only person Zurg can be that would be interesting, and this is a sci-fi story, would be Buzz Lightyear. So I had thought of that. I wasn't totally convinced of it before they revealed, but there was just something about it that kind of seemed like that would be the more interesting path to take.
Yeah, but like how come there's two of them?
Because when he
That's the
traveled back, basically, there's timeline A where Buzz went to this, escaped the planet, went to this place. He discovered this alien technology, and he spent years trying to work out time travel, and that's how he aged. And then when they finally used time travel to go back in time, and then he traveled back in time before, basically when he was at mid-flight. So as the years were going by, and then he attacked the colony. So then when Buzz Lightyear of that timeline, which is now a branch timeline, timeline B, came back, he didn't end up doing the same things because the same events weren't happening.
Yeah.
Because the colony didn't come and arrest him right away because they weren't there. They were all inside the shield. So that's how you have this split in the timeline. So you have Buzz Lightyear from Timeline A, which is Zurg, and then the new Timeline B.
It's Zurg.
Whatever.
No, because there's an issue with like StarCraft or something, and they create this race of aliens called the Zurg. For those of you guys familiar with the StarCraft universe, and Disney sued them, and StarCraft Blizzard win, because it's all about phonetics. It's Zurg, it's Zurg, not Zurg.
Whatever.
That's why. But yeah, that's a little confusing to me.
Yeah. Other aspects of the film, like how did you feel like the comedy worked in it?
It's okay. I was expecting him to be like, the complaints we Asian people make when it comes to like Asian characters, like, oh, for some reason, like he don't kiss the girl and all of that. Like for some reason in this movie they didn't give him like a love interest or something. And he didn't kiss anybody.
Like the story they were telling, he didn't really need a love interest.
He's too focused on the mission.
That's the case for a lot of Pixar movies. They don't necessarily have love interest, and I think partly it's part of their trying to have a family appeal, not so much focused on that.
Yeah, but like you know Wally.
Yeah, I know Wally.
He got Eva, and Up. He got a wife.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they can't have love interests. I just think it's better to not have a love interest than try to cram one in there. Which, at least from the way this movie shaped up, if they had tried to throw a love interest in there, it would have not worked for the current movie the way they scripted it. And yeah, speaking of love interest, so this is another case where Disney was, beating their own drum for having this, LGBTQIA moment.
Woke moment.
It's not. I think it's fine in the movie. Honestly, if they didn't say anything about it, it's something that I think some people would not have even noticed, because it's one of the main characters and a background character, which you briefly see. Well, and I guess Buzz does ask her who she's engaged to, like, because he knows that it would be a woman, apparently. Because they know each other, so that makes sense. They've known each other for a long time. Yeah, and it doesn't go into it, and I think that's fine. I just don't think that's something you need to come out in the press before the movie. About it. I mean, I guess the reason it did come out was because Pixar was saying that they had to fight to get it in the movie, because Disney wanted to take it out of the movie.
I was expecting,
and I guess it seems like at one point in the production it did get taken out, and Pixar fought to get it put back in. Which, I mean, I think it's fine that it's in there. I think also if you took it out, it would also the film would be fine without it. It's just like a small detail that's there.
What if Buzz Lightyear is the one with, a love interest, a male interest?
Yeah, but I mean, that's part of the thing. It's not like it doesn't matter in the plot. It doesn't matter really to the characters. It doesn't even affect the fact that, she still has a son who then has a daughter. So it doesn't really affect anything. So in some ways, just filmmaking wise, it doesn't need to be there. So you could question, should you have it in there if it doesn't serve any purpose? I think it's fine that it's there, but like...
Probably they do it because they're releasing it during Pride Month.
Well, yeah. Did you also think about like when he makes the final crystal thing? It's multicolored. Yeah.
Sailor Moon crystals.
Because he has to combine all the different colors.
That's the problem with it. That's what the cat is saying. Oh, remember I was watching it and I remember you. Remember Morse Cat? The cat version of Aibo?
Oh, yeah.
He's here. He's here in this movie. Are you gonna get like a Morse Cat yourself? What's the name of the cat again? I forgot.
I I can't remember.
That's why.
So who
But
was
yeah.
your favorite character in the movie?
Well, of course, Lightyear. You know,
Lightyear?
no matter what, it's Lightyear. Why it's like Lightyear? Because that's the thing. Like the other characters, like I don't get it in a way. Like I feel like you can. How can I? I feel like they just added them for like diversity's sake or something like that. Because I feel like Buzz Lightyear can do it on his own in the movie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
there
get
is
it.
one criticism when it comes to characters that I do kind of agree with, and it's not really the fault of the movie, but I feel like we are getting a little oversaturated with Taika Waititi.
Mhm.
Do you know who he was in this movie? He's the guy in the group, the other guy in the group who's helping
Yeah.
out. Like he has a very distinctive voice, and he's been in a lot of different movies. Well, like he directed Thor Ragnarok, and he's the voice of the Stone Monster as well. And then he's been in a lot of things recently, and I feel like we're starting to reach oversaturation point. We're like his voice is obviously Taika Waititi, and he's doing Taika Waititi. And to the point where it's a little distracting, to be honest, because like he just stands out like, oh, that's Taika Waititi.
His accent is different. That's
I don't
why.
think that's a fault of this movie. I just think it's like, if you start hearing or seeing an actor too much, it just gets to a point where it's a little bit oversaturation. Especially if
Yeah,
they're
I get
not
what you're saying.
giving you multiple dimensions or different voices or something. It's just always the same thing.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, well, it's nice that they're able to like save Lightyear as well. I guess different perspective, but like for some reason, like I feel like they just added these characters just to say, "Oh, we're diverse," if you know what I'm saying.
I know. I think it's more like you have your classic ragtag group of heroes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he's obviously dealing with like the sort of the rejects, and that's
Yeah.
the idea. I mean, in general, I would agree with the idea that the themes of this movie could have been communicated better. You have the whole Buzz wanting to finish the mission over like actually having something. I feel like some of those scenes could have been done better, but I do feel like in a few years, 10 years, or however long, people are going to look back on this movie and be a little bit kinder to it than they are being now. Because I don't think it's as bad as some people make it out to be.
It's not as bad as what they're saying. It's just that it's not as impactful like other Pixar movie.
It's I haven't seen it, but it doesn't sound. It's not as bad as what Jurassic World 3 sounds like.
Yeah.
Which it sounds very bad from what I've heard, and I was not interested at all from the trailer, so I don't
Well,
know
it's
why
the same.
I'm going to see that movie.
It's the same. I don't want to see that movie ever since Jurassic World, but this one, I wanted to like check this movie out because I'm curious on like who Buzz Lightyear is or something like that, and like his story. But like I've been seeing like the cartoons when I was younger, and like there's big space battles and all of that. Well, hopefully it's gonna be on the sequel, because
Yeah, I mean,
remember
if
I
they
told
get
you
a
there's
chance
gonna
to
be an
do a
after
sequel, I could
credits.
definitely see them doing more, like a bigger story.
Big battles
There is a
and all of
question
that.
of like, well, are they just staying on that planet? Like, what does that mean? Like, one of the things that isn't really communicated. Like, are they colonized or something? It didn't really sound like that at the beginning. So,
Because
are they from
based
Earth,
on the story,
do they
they're-
have? Well, what's going on there? Do they? It doesn't seem like they had contact with the rest of human civilization.
Mhm.
If they still have the ability to go back someday.
and from what I understand, they got
it's
stuck
very
there.
unclear.
They got stuck there because of Lightyear.
Yeah, but it doesn't really seem like they are able to contact, and I think maybe it's because they're trying to be a little bit more realistic sci-fi than Star Wars, so they still have to have speed of light. So in order to get anywhere, they have to use this hyper crystal or whatever,
Mhm.
and so they can't obviously communicate. And they were at the beginning of the movie all in a sleep thing. So I mean that's how they get places. So I mean, I guess you could maybe say that, I don't know, if there's some sort of colony ship, but I don't know. It's not really clear.
Well, do you think they're gonna clear everything out on the sequel?
And wait a second. I just remember something. The beginning of the movie starts with them getting a distress signal, right? That was never explained why they got a distress signal.
Do you think it's from Zurg itself?
I wouldn't think so, because he didn't travel that far back in time.
Mm.
I feel like, I don't think that was ever explained in the movie, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
It kind of got lost.
Mm-hmm. And how long is the movie? Like an hour 45? They could have made it at least 2 hours, though.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, overall, I still think it's enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Not the top of Pixar. It does make me a little afraid with this movie's performance for Pixar's future. Is Disney going to let them keep letting them release stuff in theaters if they're just or more likely, are they going to decide that if it's not Toy Story 5 or something like that, it's not getting a theater release?
It's like,
because this is the one that a lot of people thought this was, a sure hit. Like, oh, sure, don't Soul and Luca and Turning Red, those are original properties, but Lightyear, that's a spin-off of Toy Story, so that'll be a surefire hit. It doesn't seem like it's doing as well as people thought.
Mm-hmm. Because I feel like a lot of things are missing. A lot of things are missing for some reason. They need to clear it out on the sequel.
If they get a sequel.
Mm-hmm. I still remember like this scene, like he did some Scarlett Johansson situation, like, Black Widow situation. Like he's falling off from space and all of that. And there's no gravity, and for some reason, like he's able to like catch the jet or the starfighter and able to get into it effortlessly. Like death-defying situation. Well, I get it. It's
you had to have the wings from the toy. The toy has the wings, and they
made a slow-mo version of it because nostalgia.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they did a good job of incorporating these sort of things, where it definitely did seem like this is kind of movie, where you could get a toy like that from.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're going to talk about like, oh, well, it didn't seem like it was good enough to be that popular of a toy. Well, like in Toy Story 2, we see like rows of Buzz Lightyear toys. There's no movie ever made that would have rows of just one toy. I'm sorry, it's just not realistic. But it's a movie to begin with, so you don't have to take everything so literally.
Yeah. That's why. Would you recommend it?
Because if it was a popular movie, there would be more toys from the Buzz Lightyear movie than just Buzz Lightyear.
Mm-hmm. Would you recommend it to your friends though, to watch Buzz Lightyear?
Yeah, it's definitely a recommend for me. I would think just don't go in expecting anything other than what you saw in the trailer from the movie.
Yeah.
It's not a Toy Story movie, for one thing, obviously. But it's not based on the old Lightyear cartoon or anything else you might have think it was. Look at the trailer. That's the movie.
Exactly. How do you feel about
the trailer's not just hiding sometimes trailers do hide things from especially Marvel trailers or stuff. They're trying to hide a whole basic second or third act from you that's completely different. No, what you get in the trailer is the movie. I mean, obviously there's more to it. There's more scenes and everything, and some twists that aren't in the trailer, but that's the movie. So, I mean, if you like what's in the trailer, but don't think about too much of what else it could be, then I would say it's a definite recommend.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because remember I texted you like there's 3 after credits. So what do you think about? That's the reason why I know there's going to be a sequel. Well, they're planning to have a sequel because Zurg is still alive.
Yeah, I felt like the first 2 after credits were a little unneeded.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, why did you put the last after credits at the very end? That's the one that people need to see more than the other 2. Like one of the other 2, I feel like should have been switched around. Like that for last after credits was Zurg or whatever you call them. That should have been the first after credits.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually, I would have switched out one of those after credits with just the idea I've heard before about seeing the toys watching the movie, because that would have been just more interesting than some of the one of those other after credits. It wasn't really needed.
But yeah, well, I guess because this is his origin story, so that's the reason why they just focus on him for now.
Hopefully you guys can give this video a like, a share, and subscribe. And please be kind in the comment section. And happy Pride Month, I guess. And I'll see you guys in my future video. Bye!